My dear friends, everyone wants to live a life filled with purpose, success, and happiness. We all dream of becoming someone significant, someone who achieves greatness. But the question is, are we willing to pay the price? Dreams don't come free. They demand something from us. They demand discipline, consistency, and most importantly, sacrifice. You see, sacrifice is not about losing something. It is about choosing something greater over something lesser. If you want health, you sacrifice laziness. If you want knowledge, you sacrifice comfort. If you want strong relationships, you sacrifice selfishness. Every dream has its cost, and unless we pay that cost, it will remain only a dream. Think about it. When a seed wants to grow into a tree, it must give up its identity as a seed. When a student wants to excel, they must give up distractions. When an athlete wants to win, they sacrifice comfort and rest. In every story of greatness, you will always find sacrifice at the center. So, my friends, don't fear sacrifice. Don't think of it as a loss. Think of it as an investment in your own growth, in your own future, in your own destiny. The road of sacrifice may feel difficult today, but it leads to a life you'll be proud of tomorrow. Every dream that you and I hold in our hearts comes with a cost, and that cost is sacrifice. Nothing valuable in life comes for free. We may wish for success, comfort, recognition, or even peace of mind, but all of these require us to give up something in return. Life operates on a simple principle. If you want something great, you must be willing to let go of something lesser. The real question is, are we ready to pay the price for our dreams? Imagine someone dreaming of becoming a doctor. It's a noble dream, one that requires years of study, sleepless nights, endless exams, and countless hours away from family and friends. While others enjoy their weekends, this person is surrounded by books, practicing in hospitals, and working harder than most can even imagine. That is the cost. Without paying it, the dream will remain an illusion. Think about an athlete training for the Olympics. The dream of standing on the podium, hearing the national anthem, and holding a medal requires extreme sacrifice. Early mornings, strict diets, exhausting practice sessions, and an iron will to continue when the body screams to stop. These are not small prices, but that's how dreams are achieved. The medal may glitter, but behind that shine lies years of silent sacrifices. Even in smaller, everyday goals, sacrifice plays a role. If someone wants financial stability, they cannot waste money on unnecessary luxuries. They must learn to budget, to save, and to delay gratification. If someone wants to improve their health, they must give up junk food, laziness, and inconsistency. If someone wants to build a happy family, they must sacrifice ego, impatience, and selfish desires. In every area of life, sacrifice becomes the currency we pay to purchase our dreams. Sometimes we look at successful people and think they are lucky as if life handed everything to them easily. But the truth is, what we see is the reward. What we don't see are the years of sacrifice behind the curtain. Every great story you admire, whether of leaders, innovators, or artists, is built upon sacrifices that nobody clapped for, sacrifices that went unnoticed. So, when you set a dream for yourself, don't just ask, what do I want? Instead, ask, what am I willing to give up for it? Because the dream is not won by wishing, it is won by sacrificing. Only those who embrace sacrifice can transform their dreams into reality. Sacrifice is often misunderstood as a loss. Many people feel that when they give up something, they are missing out, that life becomes smaller when they let go. But in truth, sacrifice is not about losing, it is about choosing. It is the art of letting go of something lesser so that we can reach for something greater. If we look carefully, every meaningful achievement in life is not built on what we hold on to, but on what we are willing to let go of. Think about a student preparing for their exams. They may choose to sacrifice a few hours of sleep, social gatherings, or entertainment. From the outside, it may look like deprivation, but is it truly a loss? Or is it a conscious choice to aim for something greater? Knowledge, success, and a brighter future? The movies they skip, the parties they avoid, the sleep they shorten are not losses, they are investments. They are decisions that say, I value my future more than my temporary comfort. But take another example of a young entrepreneur. To start a business, they may sacrifice job security, financial stability, and even time with friends. Their weekends are consumed by planning, learning, and working tirelessly. To many, this seems like missing out on the joy of youth. But in reality, the entrepreneur is not losing, they are choosing. They are choosing growth over comfort, risk over safety, and vision over ease. And while the sacrifice may feel heavy in the moment, the reward that follows far outweighs it. Even in relationships, sacrifice plays the same role. A person who values love and companionship will choose patience over anger, forgiveness over ego, and understanding over stubbornness. At first glance, it may feel like giving up a part of oneself. But it is not really losing, it is building something deeper, something stronger, something more valuable than momentary pride. We often fail to see this truth because our eyes are fixed only on what is gone. But life becomes beautiful when we shift our focus to what we are gaining. Just as a farmer gives up seeds in order to grow crops, we too must give up certain comforts, habits, or desires in order to gain something far greater. The seeds are not lost, they are transformed into abundance. So, sacrifice is never about emptiness, it is about fullness. It is about making choices that align with your higher goals and your deeper dreams. When we see sacrifice not as loss, but as a conscious, empowering choice, we stop resenting it and start embracing it. And that, my friends, is when our dreams truly begin to take shape. If you truly desire health, you must be willing to sacrifice laziness and unhealthy habits. Everyone wishes for a strong body, glowing energy, and a mind that feels sharp and alive. But very few are willing to do what it takes. Health does not come as a gift. It comes as a result of daily choices, and those choices almost always demand sacrifice. Think of the moment when your alarm rings early in the morning. You have two options: hit the snooze button and stay in bed, or sacrifice that extra comfort to get up and move your body. One choice satisfies you temporarily, but the other builds your strength for years to come. That little sacrifice of sleep may feel painful in the moment, but it creates energy, discipline, and vitality that no comfort can match. Food is another arena where sacrifice speaks loudly. Our taste buds may crave fried snacks, sugary drinks, or processed foods. They bring temporary pleasure, but slowly they steal our energy, our fitness, and even our confidence. Sacrificing these habits may feel like a struggle at first, but every time we choose fruits over junk, water over soda, or a home-cooked meal over fast food, we are not losing, we are gaining. We are choosing long-term health over momentary pleasure. Even in daily routines, laziness often whispers in our ears. It tells us, rest a little longer, skip the workout, ignore the discipline. But every time we listen to that voice, we are sacrificing our health instead. The real secret is to reverse the equation, to sacrifice laziness so that health can flourish. Just as a garden needs the sacrifice of weeds to allow flowers to bloom, our bodies need the sacrifice of laziness to allow fitness and energy to blossom. Consider someone recovering from illness. They cannot afford to be careless. They follow strict diets, exercise routines, and medical advice. Their sacrifice is not a punishment. It is a lifeline, a commitment to rebuilding what they lost. In the same way, if we don't value our health today, we may be forced to sacrifice much more later in life: money on medicines, time in hospitals, and energy in pain. Isn't it wiser to make smaller sacrifices now rather than face greater ones later? Health is the foundation upon which all dreams stand. What use is wealth if the body is weak? What use is success if the mind is clouded with fatigue? To achieve anything meaningful, we must first choose health, and to choose health, we must sacrifice laziness and unhealthy habits. It is not an easy path, but it is always worth it. If you truly want knowledge, you must be willing to sacrifice time wasted in distractions. Knowledge is not something we stumble upon. It is something we pursue with focus and consistency. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Phones buzzing, endless social media feeds, notifications pulling our attention every second. These distractions may give us instant pleasure, but they silently steal our time, energy, and focus. The very ingredients needed to build wisdom and mastery. Imagine a student sitting down to study for an important exam. Books are open, notes are ready, but the phone on the desk vibrates with a message. Just a quick look, they think. One message leads to another, and before long, half an hour is gone. Multiply this by days and weeks, and an enormous amount of precious time has been sacrificed, not for learning, but for distractions. The painful truth is that every minute spent scrolling endlessly is a minute stolen from our dreams. On the other hand, those who achieve great things in life understand the value of focus. They know that knowledge is like a seed. It requires watering, patience, and protection from weeds. The weeds of our age are distractions. If we do not sacrifice them, they choke the growth of our minds. Choosing to put away the phone, turning off the television, or say no to unnecessary chatter is not a loss. It is a conscious decision to feed the mind instead of feeding the noise around us. Think about inventors, philosophers, scientists, or leaders who left a mark on the world. They were not people who gave their time away to distractions. They sacrificed comfort, entertainment, and sometimes even social approval so they could dedicate themselves to learning and thinking deeply. That sacrifice of distractions gave birth to discoveries, ideas, and wisdom that changed humanity. Even in our personal lives, knowledge plays a vital role. If you want to manage your finances better, you must learn about money and sacrifice ignorance. If you want strong relationships, you must study communication and sacrifice pride. If you want spiritual growth, you must sacrifice shallow entertainment and dedicate time to reflection, reading, and self-awareness. Every form of growth requires learning, and every learning requires sacrifice. The truth is simple. Time will pass anyway. The choice is ours. Do we let it slip into distractions, or do we sacrifice those distractions to build something meaningful? The books we don't read, the skills we don't learn, the wisdom we don't gain, all of these are lost opportunities because we chose temporary pleasures over lasting growth. But the ones who succeed, who truly rise above, are those who pay the price of sacrifice and invest their hours in the treasure of knowledge. Strong relationships are never built on convenience. They are built on sacrifice. To nurture meaningful bonds with family, friends, or a life partner, one must be willing to let go of selfishness and ego. Many people desire love, respect, and trust, yet few realize that these treasures are not claimed by demanding, but by giving, not by holding on to pride, but by surrendering it when necessary. Think about it. In every relationship, there comes a moment of disagreement. Words are spoken in anger. Emotions rise and ego whispers. Don't apologize. Don't bend. If both sides listen to that voice, the relationship cracks. But when one person sacrifices their ego and says, "I value you more than winning this argument," harmony is restored. That act of humility is not weakness, it is strength. It is the sacrifice of pride in exchange for peace, love, and connection. Relationships also require the sacrifice of time. In the rush of life, it is easy to get lost in work, ambitions, and personal goals. But bonds do not grow on neglect. They grow on attention. Taking time to sit with a parent, listen to a friend, or spend a quiet evening with a partner often means giving up something else. Work deadlines, entertainment, or personal comfort. Yet those small sacrifices are the very moments that build unshakable trust and lasting love. Selfishness, too, is an enemy of relationships. When we focus only on what we want, how we feel, and what we need, we suffocate the bond. True companionship blossoms when we sacrifice selfish desires for the well-being of the other person. This doesn't mean losing ourselves. It means expanding ourselves to include someone else's happiness as our own. In doing so, we don't become smaller, we become greater, richer, and more complete. Think of parents, for example. Their entire relationship with their children is built on sacrifice. They give up sleep, comfort, money, and even personal dreams so their children can flourish. And though it looks like they are constantly giving, they often say that the joy of seeing their children happy is far greater than the sacrifices made. That is the paradox of relationships. The more you sacrifice, the more you gain. Ego and selfishness create walls, but sacrifice builds bridges. Strong relationships are not the result of two perfect people coming together. They are the result of two imperfect people willing to sacrifice for each other's growth, happiness, and peace. When love becomes greater than ego, when understanding becomes greater than selfishness, relationships transform from fragile connections into lifelong bonds that no storm can shake. A seed must lose its form to become a tree, and this simple truth mirrors every aspect of human growth. If the seed insists on remaining a seed, safe, small, and unchanged, it will never experience the beauty of becoming a tree that provides shade, fruit, and life to others. Growth always demands letting go, and in that letting go lies the essence of sacrifice. When you plant a seed, it goes through an invisible transformation beneath the soil. It breaks, it surrenders its original shape, and it sacrifices the identity it once held. To the untrained eye, it may look like destruction, but in reality, it is the beginning of creation. Without that sacrifice, the seed remains nothing more than a potential locked inside a shell. In the same way, we too must sacrifice parts of our comfort zones, habits, and identities if we want to grow into something greater. Think about a young person leaving their home to pursue education or career opportunities in another city or country. They sacrifice the warmth of family dinners, the comfort of familiar streets, and the security of home. But through that sacrifice, they grow stronger, more independent, and more capable of creating a future. Like the seed, they surrender what they were in order to become what they are meant to be, the same is true in personal growth. If someone wants to develop patience, they must sacrifice their impulsive reactions. If someone wants to grow in wisdom, they must sacrifice arrogance and open their hearts to learning. Growth never comes while clinging tightly to old patterns. It comes when we are willing to let go and evolve. Even in spirituality, sacrifice is essential. To grow closer to a higher truth, one must let go of shallow desires, temporary pleasures, and the ego's constant need for recognition. Just like the seed, which disappears into the soil before sprouting into life, we too must surrender aspects of ourselves that limit our growth. It may feel uncomfortable, but that discomfort is the soil where transformation begins. Look at the tree again. It gives shade to travelers, fruits to the hungry, and shelter to birds. None of this would have been possible if the seed had refused to sacrifice. Our lives are no different. The greater our willingness to let go of the old, the greater our ability to serve, inspire, and uplift. So, whenever we are faced with the fear of losing something familiar, we must remember the seed. What looks like loss is often the beginning of growth. What looks like sacrifice is really the doorway to a higher version of ourselves. Athletes, students, and successful people across every field all have one thing in common. Their journey to greatness was paved with sacrifice. When we see a champion holding a trophy, a student receiving top honors, or an entrepreneur leading a thriving company, we often admire the result without realizing the hidden price that was paid behind the scenes. Their achievements are not accidents of fate. They are the outcome of discipline, focus, and sacrifices that most people are not willing to make. Take the example of an athlete. The glory of winning a medal is only a moment on stage, but the path to it is years of dedication. Waking up at dawn when the world is still asleep, running miles while others rest, pushing through pain while others quit. These are the sacrifices that fuel victory. An athlete must sacrifice comfort, social life, and even at times personal pleasures for the sake of discipline. When people applaud the athlete, they are really applauding the countless unseen sacrifices that built the strength to stand tall. Now think about a student who achieves academic excellence. Success in studies does not come by chance. It is born from hours of late night reading, sacrificing movies and social media, and sometimes even choosing solitude over gatherings with friends. While their peers may laugh at their seriousness, that student knows they are not losing. They are choosing. They are choosing a future of opportunities, and the sacrifices of today open doors that comfort never could. Entrepreneurs, to embody this principle, the glamour of a successful business hides the sleepless nights, the financial risks, and the countless failures endured along the way. Many of them sacrifice financial stability, personal leisure, and even social approval in the beginning. People may doubt them, criticize them, or call them unrealistic, but they persist. Why? Because they understand that every sacrifice is a step closer to turning their vision into reality. The same applies to every sphere of life. Artists sacrifice hours of practice before producing a masterpiece. Leaders sacrifice personal desires to carry the weight of responsibility for others. Innovators sacrifice certainty and comfort to walk unknown paths that lead discoveries. What we see as their success is only the tip of the iceberg. What lies beneath is sacrifice, the unseen foundation of their greatness. Sacrifice is the silent companion of every extraordinary achievement. It is the willingness to give up ease for effort, to endure discomfort for growth, and to trade temporary pleasure for lasting fulfillment. Those who achieve greatness are not necessarily the most talented, but they are the most committed to sacrifice. Sacrifice today creates a stronger, better tomorrow. Every action we take, every decision we make is like planting a seed in the soil of time. What we choose to give up now often determines the kind of life we will live later. It is tempting to seek immediate comfort, instant rewards, and short-term pleasures, but lasting success, health, and happiness are built by those who willingly endure temporary sacrifices for the sake of a brighter future. Think of a farmer in the planting season. He must sacrifice his best seeds, putting them into the ground where they seem to disappear. For months, he sees no visible result, but he trusts the process. He knows that by giving up those seeds today, he secures a harvest tomorrow. In the same way, when we sacrifice our comforts, time, or resources today, we are planting the seeds of our future success. Consider the person who decides to save money instead of spending it all on luxuries. At the moment, it may feel like a loss. No fancy gadgets, no lavish outings. But years later, those small sacrifices accumulate into financial freedom, stability, and opportunities that others can only dream of. Their tomorrow becomes stronger because they had the wisdom to sacrifice today. The same applies to health. Skipping fast food, exercising regularly, and sleeping on time may feel like sacrifices in the moment, especially when everyone else is indulging or staying up late. But those choices shape a future filled with energy, strength, and confidence. On the other hand, neglecting these sacrifices today can lead to illnesses and regrets tomorrow. One way or another, we always pay a price. The choice is whether we pay it now through discipline or later through regret. Even in relationships, sacrifice today strengthens tomorrow. Choosing to listen instead of arguing, forgiving instead of holding grudges, and spending time instead of chasing endless business may seem small. Yet these sacrifices build bonds that stand firm through life's storms. A relationship without daily sacrifices weakens, but one that is nurtured with selflessness only grows stronger with time. History also shows us this truth. Every freedom we enjoy today is the result of sacrifices made by those before us. They endured struggles, discomfort, and hardships not for themselves, but for the generations to come. Their sacrifices gave us the opportunities we sometimes take for granted. Shouldn't we too think of the future and be willing to make sacrifices that create a better life, not only for ourselves, but for those who follow us? When we embrace sacrifice today, we are not losing, we are investing. Every effort, every discipline, every moment of self-control becomes a building block of a stronger tomorrow. Great tomorrows are not accidents. They are the result of sacrifices made with vision and courage today. True success is not about comfort. It is about the willingness to sacrifice for what matters most. In our modern world, many people confuse success with ease, imagining that those who make it live lives free of struggle, challenge, or sacrifice. But the reality is very different. Comfort may bring temporary happiness, but it rarely produces greatness. Success, in any meaningful sense, is born from the decision to step away from ease and embrace the discipline, persistence, and sacrifices required to reach a higher goal. Consider the athlete once again. Comfort would be sleeping longer, skipping practice, or eating whatever they like. But such comfort would never produce a champion. Success lies in choosing discomfort, waking up before sunrise, pushing through muscle pain, training even in unfavorable conditions. The applause comes later, but the price is always paid in advance through sacrifice. Look at innovators and entrepreneurs. Comfort would mean working a stable job, living within predictable routines, and avoiding risks. Yet those who build great companies, who changed industries and lives, and had to sacrifice that comfort. They endured uncertainty, financial struggles, sleepless nights, and even criticism from others. Their success was not handed to them. It was earned through their willingness to sacrifice the security of comfort for the possibility of growth. Even in personal growth, success demands sacrifice. If you want wisdom, you must sacrifice ignorance and arrogance. If you want peace of mind, you must sacrifice toxic habits, grudges, and negativity. If you want to develop strong character, you must sacrifice shortcuts and temptations. Comfort will always whisper, "Stay as you are," but true success comes when you ignore that voice and choose what matters more deeply, even when it feels difficult. Comfort can be a trap because it makes us believe we are safe when in reality we are stagnant. A seed lying comfortably in a bag may avoid the struggle of being buried in the soil, but it also avoids becoming a tree. In the same way, when we choose comfort over sacrifice, we protect ourselves from short-term struggle, but also rob ourselves of long-term growth. The people we admire most, leaders, saints, artists, pioneers, were not people who chased comfort. They were people who sacrificed for causes greater than themselves. Their lives remind us that true success is not measured by how easy life becomes, but by how meaningful and impactful it is. And meaning always comes with sacrifice. So, the path to success is never the path of least resistance. It is the path of sacrifice. The willingness to give up temporary ease for lasting greatness, to exchange comfort for contribution, and to choose growth over stagnation. That is where true success is found.